Jordan Peterson has resigned from his position at the University of Toronto, and I think this is also a signal for the death of the university as an institution. It's a rather large claim, I know.
It's a very strong claim.
However, I think Jordan Peterson's own words will actually lay out that, well, yes, it is only a matter of time now. It is not an if, but a when. And this is the article from him in the National Post in which he has written his full words in text. However, if we go to the next link, we can see he actually also did a video on this where he just read it out and, well, I'd rather listen to him than me reading, so we'll do that. So if we go to the first clip, please.
I recently resigned from my position as full tenured professor at the University of Toronto. I am now Professor Emeritus, and before I turned 60. Emeritus is generally a designation reserved for superannuated faculty, albeit those who had served their term with some distinction. I had envisioned teaching and researching at the U of T full-time until they had to haul my skeleton out of my office. I loved my job. And my students, undergraduates and graduates alike, were positively predisposed toward me. But that career path was not meant to be. There are many reasons, including the fact that I can now teach many more people and with less interference online. But here's a few more. First, my qualified and supremely trained heterosexual white male grad students, and I've had many others, by the way, are no longer eligible upon graduation for university research positions, despite stellar scientific dossiers. This is partly because of diversity, inclusivity, and equity mandates. My preferred acronym, DIE. These have been imposed universally in academia. Despite the fact that university hiring committees had already done everything reasonable for all the years of my career and then some to ensure that no qualified minority candidates were ever overlooked.
So that's why I'm making this claim. And the video is much longer, and you should go and watch it in your full time if you're interested, especially. But we're going to focus primarily on the racial stuff, because as you mentioned there, essentially his white students have no future.
Yeah, Thomas and I did a weekend segment yesterday about the University of York, which has exactly that.
Yes. His white students of any kind, but especially the male ones, and especially the heterosexual male ones, don't have a future at the university.
Yeah.
They will not get funding.
Because they're white.
But there is no reason for that constituent of society, especially in Canada, but apparently also in York, and I'm sure in many other places around the Western world, there is no reason to go to university for those people anymore. Just de facto. You're not going to get the funding. You're not going to be looked upon in the same way as anyone else. In fact, you're going to be at the bottom of the pile. No point. But if that's the case...
Moreover, if you need funding to do it and you can't get funding, then that means that only the independently wealthy will be able to do it.
Yeah, this is why I'm making the claim that this very well might be the death of the university as an institution, at least in the way we know.
Certainly for non-aristocrats.
Yeah, that's not what it used to be. The university was a place of learning in which you could go and learn things. And instead, it is not. It is a place of racial politics. And I'd mentioned this again just to bring up some of the other examples we've covered before, because this is never going to be normal to me. And I'm going to keep mentioning it. I know I do, but it's because it's disgusting. And in here, we can see examples from the Civil Service, GCHQ, MI5, and the BBC. And if we go to the next link, we can see that the fast track for the Civil Service, that's still up. I mean, it still kills me. This is just up. You can still apply. If you're white, not so much. If we go to the next link, we can see more examples. So this is just within the...
I mean, this is
TV
literally
industry.
illegal, though, isn't it?
This is all illegal.
It's just not being enforced.
Just the police will not do their jobs, and
Unbelievable.
people don't take them to court. So it just carries on. As you can see here, ITV, BBC, QI, and Discovery Channel, all advertising trainee roles in which if you're white, no, you can't go. You're not allowed to apply for those positions. They will not accept you.
It's disgusting.
Let's go to Nonsflix as well, of course. So go to the next link. We can see Nonsflix here, also doing the same thing. Big shock, I'm sure. And if we go to the next one, we can also see, I believe it's the Welsh government who had COVID loans. So if you lost your job because of COVID and wanted to set up a small business, they were handing out loans, except you had to be BAME, disabled, or a woman.
Basically all on the same level of disadvantage.
But I know we laugh about it, and it is absurdist, but at the same time, it is the same claim. It is that your group identity is the primary thing that is of value about you.
But also a salute to the misogynist who wrote that.
I
Women, basically disabled people, aren't they?
Yeah, also incredibly racist to be like, if you're black, you're disabled as well. Yeah, also if you're young, you're disabled. Yeah,
that's true.
It's we laugh about it, and it is funny, but it is also horrific. I mean, like Jordan was pointing out, his own students do not have a future at their university because they are white.
Yeah.
That is a primary reason as to why they have no reason to be there. And if we go to the next clip, I'd like to see his summing up of this.
There are simply not enough qualified BIPOC people in the pipeline. BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, for those of you not in the knowing woke. This has been common knowledge among any remotely truthful academic who has served on a hiring committee for the last 3 decades. This means we're out to produce a generation of researchers utterly unqualified for the job. And we've seen what that means already in the horrible grievance studies disciplines.
It's a fantastic point. Combine it with the point he made previously that we have never, ever looked over someone who's a minority because we are so pushed to make sure that we have the right numbers, that even people who don't deserve to be pushed up the pile are getting pushed up the pile. Well, now we don't even have enough BIPOC people to even make the goals you're asking for.
Although this is just going to contribute to the continued degradation of our institutions.
It's insanity. And, well, that if it's the case that universities are just saying that if you are white, if you are a man, or if you are heterosexual, you don't have a place at this university, well, then those groups should look elsewhere. They should not look to university as the future.
I've got no doubt they'll go to private institutions.
Yeah. And if we go to the next clip, we can see, well, what's the goal? What are the numbers now? So let's play.
CBS, for example, has literally mandated that every writer's room be at least 40% BIPOC in 2021, 50% in 2022. We are now at the point where race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual preference is first accepted as the fundamental characteristic defining each person, just as the radical leftists were hoping, and second, is now treated as the most important qualification for study, research, and employment.
I don't know what the numbers are, but I severely doubt that Canada is 50% non-white.
It's 73% white.
Right. So they are more than double, or more than double representation of the population. That's not representation, is it?
No, it's not.
That's domination.
Supremacy.
Yes.
There's a position of supremacy that is being demanded, and not only demanded, but enforced by CBS. State-run media.
It's mad.
I mean, this is how bad Caucadia is. I mean, I know we
Yeah.
dab on the Canadians for being cucks, but
They really are. I mean, I saw Trudeau's
That's the
polling
future
numbers
you
the other
want.
day, and he's well in the black with the polls. It's like, how the hell can you vote for this guy? He's an evil monster, and yet they're like,
it's not just us in the West who notice all this. The East notices everything we do as well.
Of course they do.
Jordan makes this point, but just by quoting Putin, who is mocking the West
He
in
is.
one of his speeches, in which he's just like, Lamau, you're doing this to yourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So
No one's making you do this.
I couldn't play the full quote because it's too long, but let's play a portion of it.
Putin continues, "This, I believe, should call to mind some of what we are witnessing now. Looking at what is happening in a number of Western countries, we are amazed to see domestic practices, which we, fortunately, have left, I hope, in the distant past. The fight for equality and against discrimination has turned into aggressive dogmatism bordering on absurdity when the works of the great authors of the past, such as Shakespeare, are no longer taught at schools or universities because their ideas are believed to be backward. The classics are declared backward and ignorant of the importance of gender and race. In Hollywood, memos are distributed about proper storytelling and how many characters of what color or gender should be in a movie. This is even worse than the agitprop department of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union." End of Putin's comments.
And Putin used to work for the KGB.
I was going to say, if anyone knows, it's Vladimir Putin. And what's really annoying is that speech should have been coming out of the mouth of Boris Johnson.
Yes. And just finishing the Active Measures Book Club, he's also correct.
Of course he is.
There is nothing the Active Measures Department ever did as good and as successful as the SJWs have done in winning their race war. Their race war was a race war in which the race of you, or the gender, or all the rest of it, were the primary important thing about you, against the liberals, who didn't want that to be the primary important thing about you, but instead the content of your character, as Martin Luther King would say. They won the race war.
Yep.
That is a war that has happened, and the SJWs have won.
And if you want to know how this happened, you can go to lotus.com because we're doing a lot of work on critical race theory to understand why this has happened.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, we've always said that this is coming, and it's always been a thing on the horizon. But I think with Jordan Peterson's resignation and his words there of the reasons why, he does list other reasons as to why he personally has to resign.
But these are clearly the cause, the root of it.
Sure, but he mentions the fact that his students, because they're his students and therefore he's a heretic, those students are also sometimes overlooked, or there are professors in there who write die statements agreeing with all the ideology and then tell their students to lie and do the same, because they're all lying. None of them crap. Or they'll subject themselves to unconscious bias training or the rest of it. That's always sort of taken place, as in the sense there have always been heretic lecturers who their students are overlooked. What's never been the place, at least for, let's say, decades, is that your race, gender, or all the rest of it determined whether or not you could go through a university.
Yeah.
And now it is again.
Yeah.
That is what they have done. They have won that fight. Absolutely.
They have. And the reason they won is because this came from within our own ideology. That's the why. You couldn't have an outsider introduce this. It was insiders who did this.
And if we go to the section of Jordan Peterson's video, so I believe that video's got like 600,000 views, so go give it a watch in the full thing if you want to find out as well, because it's all on his channel. But he just has a series of, let's say, comments of people giving their first-hand account of what it's like as well. And in this one, there's a professor that's resigned because of exactly these reasons. We don't have time to read the whole things because we're just too late. But if we go to the next one, we have students who left their degrees because they were forced to lie and just got sick of it, and then they left. If we go to the next one, we have PhD student considering to leave because he can't stand it. Next one, this one's amazing. I will read it because we should. For the last 11 years, I have worked at one of the top medical schools in America. In order to meet equity policy, we recently got rid of grades and standards of excellence. This is a race to the bottom. Last week, we had several teachers resign because they were afraid to teach because they couldn't get through a single lecture without being called out. The entire school is comprised of people who individually know this is absurd but lack the courage to stand up to this agenda. When your future doctor is completely incompetent at the job, you'll know why.
This is Solzhenitsyn's, we know they're lying, they know that we know they're lying, and they're still lying.
And this is taking place all throughout, let's say, higher education of all forms. I mean, it's not just the humanities, it's the medical department. We covered recently, what was it, them trying to push it into STEM, specifically physics. And if we carry on, if we go to the next one, this one's just disastrous. It's someone saying that for every job they have applied for this year, had a section at the bottom of the diversity, and it asks you if you're part of the LGBTQ plus community as to whether or not you're getting the job.
Have you taken it up the arse?
Just say yes. What are they going to do? Make you prove it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I suppose. But that's the level of...
But then you're consenting to the system, aren't you? Then you're supporting the system.
But that is how far we have fallen. We've lost that war. And if we go to the next link, of course, this is not the only problem on universities. The most recent, again, popping up is Andy No. Andy No tried to give a talk at Dartmouth College, and it got cancelled because of Antifa terrorists threatening violence.
He's part of the LGBT community. What's the problem?
It's not the right kind. As you see, he says bomb-sniffing dogs had to be brought in because, movement of
He's
peace.
the nicest guy as well. He's just the nicest guy.
He's the wholesomest of people.
Yeah.
I thought I'd also end this off with maybe we shouldn't be surprised that Canada shows what the, as these people like to call it, the global liberal future shows, as the Trudeauists would like to say. I thought we'd have to play this because it's got loads of views, but it doesn't have enough. In which we have some footage here of Quebec. It's a talk show with some kids, and they're talking to the kids about the unvaccinated. And it's in French, so we'll say afterwards to people listening, but let's play the clip.
Au vaccin, vous autres?
Oui, tous les deux, on a une seule dose.
Ah oui? Puis est-ce que vous êtes d'accord, vous autres, avec la vaccination obligatoire?
Oui.
Oui? Ah oui, hein?
Wow. On dirait que je les ai drillés, Julie.
Oui. Puis qu'est-ce qu'on devrait faire avec les gens qui veulent pas se faire vacciner?
On devrait appeler la police.
Ouh,
Oui.
oui.
S'ils n'ont pas leur vaccin, ça peut mettre beaucoup de personnes en danger. Fait que comme le gouvernement est en train de faire en ce moment, il faut leur couper petite chose à petite jusqu'à temps qu'ils se tannent puis qu'ils se fassent vacciner.
En tout cas, on a des futurs politiciens à côté de nous. Merci. Merci beaucoup à tous nos invités.
It's like the Hitler Youth, and everyone around them is applauding it.
Sickening. I mean, that siren was perfectly timed. But for people listening, so they're asking the kids, are you in favor of mandatory vaccines? The kids say yes. What should we do with those who do not want it? Then the kids say we should call the police and cut everything from them until they submit.
And you can hear the adults around them going, wee.
And clapping like seals.
Yeah, future politician here.
Honestly, it's the seals that are the worst. I think they are the worst aspect of the entire
Yeah, the
system.
children have just been brainwashed. They don't know.
But
they don't know anything.
if you're in a situation in which you have a bunch of people being, do not clap, do not be part of the SEAL group who just sit there clapping and clapping to absolute insanity. It's mad. But that's the situation. I mean, again, we're speaking of people who've committed no crime.
No.
But call the police, cut everything from them until they submit.
I mean,
This
why
is
couldn't I
human.
just say that about the Jews in Nazi Germany?
So I thought we'd also check out, because this is Jordan Peterson's resignation. That's, the right-wing situation or view of the whole thing. I thought we'd check out the left-wing view, so I had to go to twitter.com for that one. And I thought I'd just pick out the two highest-rated comments, and let's see what the left had to say. So Jordan Peterson has taught me that quitting your job voluntarily is being cancelled, and getting a column in the National Post is being silenced. Learn nothing.
He didn't say he
Willfully.
was cancelled.
He didn't. But also it's the point of him saying that, well, he can't actually stay in his position because all of his students have no future
Yeah.
if they work under him.
It's a moral objection. He didn't say he was cancelled.
Nor did he say he was silenced.
So, of course, the left have to, well, I'm going to lie about you.
Let's try lying. Let's go to the next one, because this is a local here. Every progressive in the city right now finding out that Jordan Peterson has just rage quit his tenured position at the University of Toronto.
At least that's more honest.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But just, we have ruined the universities to the point that if you're white or male or
And we're
straight,
going to continue ruining them.
there's no reason going to university anymore. You are just wasting your time, de facto, because we will not promote you because you are the wrong race. And she's happy about that.
Of course she is.
That's the progressive future.
She's a female. She's not the wrong race.
And let's just check out her profile for a second, because I mean the state of it. And just look at that. Just pronouns in the bio, gotta have that. And then if we can just the image of the racial pride flag in the background is never going to be normal to me. We added black and brown stripes to the rainbow flag. Why? To represent skin tone. You what? Let's go to the next image just to look at,
The state.
yes. I'm not going to comment anymore. But that's Jordan Peterson's resignation. And quite frankly, I think maybe a cornerstone in which we look back and see it as the end of the university as an institution, at least in Canada, if nowhere else, if it is the case that you are only going to be promoted on the basis of your race. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to subscribe to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this video, which John Wheatley did about Saruman the Woke and him being the most relevant villain in Lord of the Rings. But if you'd like to find out what else is coming out on the website, you can always follow us on Getter, or you could follow John Wheatley at John Wheatley on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.